on the business side. You're an author as well, the sixth man, which is the first question I want to ask you, Andre, because people have forgotten you spent most of your early part of your career in Philly, and you were a starter, and then you come to Golden State, you start that first season in Golden State, and then it's like, all right, you're on the bench, and it made you, in a sense, who you are in a lot of ways. Tell us about that transition, and because it's not easy to do, I imagine, for anybody, but you did it with expert execution. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, it was interesting. You always say, things happen for a reason, and things happen the way they're supposed to happen. I was just having a conversation with Justin Thomas, who's a good buddy of mine. Obviously, he just PGA Championships last week, and I'm a big golfer. So we were talking about in terms of, all you have to do is just put the work in. If you worked as hard as you could or not, and then just let everything else, come about how they're supposed to. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And similar to that situation, I was actually playing really well going to that training camp. And I had a few procedures that summer to get the body right, and the body was feeling really good. So I came in with some high expectations for myself as well as the team. So to hear that is a little different. As you know, growing up and playing youth sports, it was like the starters versus scrubs and everything that goes into, how you perform or how you're perceived on the team and how you're perceived from other teams as well. You're the starter, you're the number one guy. So that still kind of plays a role in sports, I think. I think it's changing a little bit, though, just embracing, especially the guys that have success in their roles and learning how to embrace that. And, hopefully I've been a part of that, the changing of, that perception. But the things that it worked out because Steve and I, we had the same college coach, and I feel like college can make or break your career. Michael Jordan always talks about Dean Smith and the things that he did for his career. Lute Olson had a huge impact on a lot of his athletes because of how he taught the game. And our transition was a lot smoother, I feel like, than a lot of other players going from college to the NBA. And we have a pretty good track record of guys on the Lute Olson that go pro. So Steve and I spoke the same language in terms of basketball. So when he approached me about it, he actually said, you've been playing like this and you're playing really well, and it's unfortunate, but we're a better team if you come off the bench. And it's hard to argue with someone when you see basketball the same way as they do, and you speak the same language, same verbiage, same principles, all those things. So it was a tough transition to get used to, but when things start clicking, and you want things to start clicking around the playoffs and deep runs, and then that is just, you're just embracing it once you get that newfound rhythm, and it's actually helped extend my career.
That's great. And listen, you're right. Lute Olson is one of the greats. It takes, and this is erroneous on the part of many. You say, hey, list some of the great coaches the past 30 years, and of course you get Boeheim and you get Jim Calhoun, 3-time champ, and eventually you'll get to Lute Olson. But I feel like Andre, to your point, that Lute Olson is a little overlooked, not by me, not by us, but maybe the fringe college basketball fan. Arizona's been a powerhouse for 30 years, man. I mean, it's amazing. So I'm happy that you brought him up. But I want to get your thoughts on this. We talk about the bubble, right? And we wonder, what is it like? Just take us through a day in the bubble. Andre Iguodala wakes up. What is it like in the bubble, man? What's going on?
I think with the bubble, you have to really schedule out your days. And if you do that, you'll make the most of your days and you'll find yourself productive because you have a lot of downtime. So you can find yourself staring at the wall a little bit. And, you go through this monotonous routine of going from the room, a couple hours into the gym, a couple hours, come back to the room, a couple hours, then go eat, a couple hours, and then come back. And you're just trying to figure out different things to do. And you don't want to do the same things over and over. So you got to be engaged. You got to keep your mind engaged. But your time is almost like a maze of time because every day is different. Like one day practice could be at 2, one day practice could be at 10, one day practice could be at 5. And then you have testing times every day, the COVID test, even though it's pretty quick, like that test is like 4 minutes tops. It could be right in the middle of you wanting to do something or do an activity. So I've learned how to map out my days and be as productive as possible. So the first thing I do in the morning is you do your test. You know, you have to take your own temperature, then you do your oxygen levels test. And guys I feel like it's routine now. So, you know, we haven't missed too many, but you can't get access to food, or you can't get through the front door to practice, or you can't get through a certain area if you don't do all that. So guys have to go back to your room, so you got to make that a habit. And then once you're there, you're grabbing breakfast and probably going to practice for, you know, depending on the team, from anywhere from an hour to 2.5 hours. And then from there, you come back, try to figure out when your testing time is, because then that tells you, okay, what can I do for the next 2 hours?
Yeah.
I've been golfing, so this morning I played golf. Like, we've been getting out there early. So
Who are you playing with? Teammates, coaches? Who are you playing with, Andre?
So we got a couple coaches that play. One of our coaches is like, he played on a mini tour. He's like a shooting guru. He's really good. Like, he's like a Steph Curry type, handsy type guy, you know, and he can do a lot of different things well, like throwing a football or shooting a basketball or throwing darts and like weird stuff like that. He's good with. So he's like a +2 handicap, which is crazy.
Nice.
He shot 59 this morning, actually. 58.
What? Come on.
Wait, 59?
Yeah, 50? Yeah, I've seen him do it.
Wait,
wow. 59. Yeah,
oh, so I think you said 50, 6'9", like 6'9".
Yeah.
6'9". 6'9". 6'9".
Gotcha. Yeah, still pretty
he does this on the regular. So we get our golf. Like this morning, I got our crew now is Kelly Olenek, Duncan Robinson, when he's not afraid to leave his room because he's afraid to like go outside. He's like a hypochondriac or something. Whatever that phobia of going outside is. And then Solomon Hill, I got him in the golf. Like, he's hooked. Now, he just started playing like a week ago, and now he wants to play every day. Yeah. So that's our crew. So that gives us like 4 hours to be outside, to breathe, laugh, joke. Yeah. And I always joke with Kelly Overnick, like, yo, we got a crazy connection on the court. Like, I'm always finding him wherever he's at. And he's like, how'd you find me? I'm like, I don't know, bro. I think it's from us playing golf. So we use that as our joke. And then from there, I got a couple books. I finished 1.5 books since I've been here. I'm on this, like, I'm on a book that's like for college students. It's like a research book. It's really good. Manny Marable, who did Malcolm X. I'm reading his book right now, and I have to be locked in to read that. And then I got my tech stuff. So my days are pretty filled. Like,
yeah, because you're a businessman, man. You're like operating a business while you're going on while you're there. You mentioned something real briefly. You said it in passing, but are there a lot of guys that are nervous, like hypochondriac nervous because of the coronavirus? Even though there's no positive test. We've heard this for the last couple of weeks. No positive tests in the NBA bubble. Is that widespread? The nervousness?
That's a really good question. I think the NBA's done a really good job, and the union, Michelle Roberts and Adam, they've done a really good job of calming everyone's nerves and just making sure we follow the protocols, make sure we have a mask, keep our hands clean. I mean, you'll see masks stationed everywhere. Like, every checkpoint, if you forget your mask, like, I have like 40 masks in my room. If I forget one, I can just walk like 10 steps and there's one right there. And then you got the machines for sanitation, or the sanitizers. Then you have the little bottles of hand sanitizers everywhere. Everyone's just doing their part. And like, when I walk out my room and I forget my mask, the first person I see has a mask on. So it's like, oh, and then I'll take 4 steps back, make sure I have my mask. So everyone's doing a really good job of that. So I think that's calming a lot of the people or any of the fears down, because everyone's just being responsible with how they're supposed to move around.
So we're talking to Andre Iguodala, 3-time world champ, won the Finals MVP as well back in 2015. He's with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. You know, we have had so many segments here, Andre, trying to determine, and we both love him, but he's been in the news a lot, like Jimmy Butler. You know, like what? And to me, and I want you to obviously take the reins here, but to me, like, Jimmy Butler would be a great teammate if you're all about basketball and you have a heart and you're doing the right thing. If you're soft or you're looking for shortcuts, then Jimmy Butler's the worst kind of teammate because he's going to light you up. You've been around the game a long time. You've got that old school mentality like Jimmy. What did you learn about him that you didn't know? And really, what kind of teammate is he with the young kids?
Jimmy's been, like, Jimmy and I have connected, like, right away. I think it's just he has an appreciation for guys who have a high basketball IQ, and you know, apply it on the court. Like, you got some people that have high IQs, but, you know, can't execute it. You know, those are like the really good coaches. Maybe they're not as athletic or they don't have good reaction times, but they know the game. I think he just has a really high respect for guys who understand, like, I know how to put myself in a position and I won't get credit for it or no one will see it. Like, I know, okay, be right here, and I'm going to help my teammate get wide open. Or I know to be right here, although my man may be open, but I'm taking the ball out the hands of, you know, the number one guy on the team.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like subtle things like that. And Jimmy's hilarious because anytime he subs in for me, he's like, appreciate you, bro. And I always laugh because, you know, he just really appreciates the guys who understand their roles, embraces their roles, and just steps up to the challenges. And for the young guys, he wants them to understand that, you know, there's basketball and it can make you look good, but there's also winning plays. And those some winning plays may not look as special or may not make you look good, but, you know, it's helping the team win. And I think that's kind of like that balance that we're trying to figure out with new age basketball. You know, I'm a purist at heart, you know, with the game of basketball. It's almost like golf. They say, are you hitting the ball too far? You know, are guys still shaping shots? Or can guys hit, you know, 4 and 5 irons into long par fours, but the ball's going so far, so now it's a pitching wedge. So, you know, for me on the basketball court, I'm like, are we getting away from, you know, the pure art of the game? You know, it's like it's the business side, and then there's the, you know, the actual sport, and that applies to any sport. And do you change the rules to tilt the scales too much one way or the other, you know, for financial gain? And you have to be wary of that. So that's where I'm at, and I think he really appreciates that. So he and I see, you know, we see eye to eye on a lot of things on basketball.
That's a good explanation because I think he gets misunderstood.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.